Oh, good. You're here. Place is empty, huh?
What? The door was unlocked. I wasn't expecting you.
Either way, the trunk of the apocalypse finds who it needs to.
The trunk of the apocalypse?
The trunk of the apocalypse. Great revealer, discloser of mysteries. Apocalypse. I'm afraid I'm not following at all.
Wait. What was it? 3 months ago? Coffee house, but it's all free? About anything in particular? As a matter of fact, I think it was this very thing.
Yes, almost forgot why I was here. January, before all this mess, am I right?
Yes, the mess. All this, though, it's ridiculous. Have you ever used the Google News alert?
The news, well, that'll do it to you.
Right, the news. Weird to talk like this, though, right?
How do you mean?
Face to face, I mean. Feels like something in dreams, I guess. Back in the old days. No Zoom. Before the what?
The apocalypse?
I mean, it kind of feels that way, don't you think?
I guess it depends what you mean by apocalypse.
Well, how do you mean?
Come on, man, we're pals. Don't get sassy with me.
Well, what would you call all this?
The mess. Nobody has jobs anymore. Hospitals going bankrupt.
Banks giving money to big businesses before it gets to any of us peons. Looks like apocalypse. Smells like apocalypse.
Well, what is it you're meaning by apocalypse, though?
Seriously? I don't know how you could look at all this and not think something's apocalyptic about it.
Apocalyptic how?
Apocalyptic how? Apocalyptic like this. Apocalyptic like it feels like the world is coming apart at the seams. Apocalyptic like all this isn't going to stick around for much longer.
All this?
I don't know, man. Society, government, my grandparents' lives.
All right. All this, life as we know it, it's coming apart.
Right. Wouldn't you say so?
You're asking me if we're in the middle of the apocalypse?
Yeah, man. End of days vibes for sure.
End of days. That's interesting.
Interesting? Come on. You know as well as me that's a BS word. I've heard you say it yourself. You say interesting is like the junk drawer of words. Words we call all the stuff we can't bring ourselves to throw away but can't really do anything useful with.
You're right.
So find a better adjective, guy.
I just think there's an interesting thing you're doing with end of days and apocalypse there, you know?
No, I don't know.
I mean, they're not quite the same thing.
How do you mean? Isn't apocalypse just the end of the world?
I mean, yes and no. So in Greek...
Please, don't in Greek me.
I promise. This is helpful. They're different words, apocalypse and end of days. Apocalypsis, or our apocalypse, it's a different thing from end of days, which is eschaton.
Eschaton. That sounds like something.
Yeah. Eschatology?
I recall, yeah. It's the study of, like, how it's all gonna end. Like, final days, last moves, where it all wraps up. Fat lady singing, or something like that.
Right, exactly. So, end of days is eschaton, the end of it all. And apocalypsis is revealing, disclosing, unveiling, usually in sacred writings, referring to some part of how it all works becomes uncovered and made known.
So what's the connection?
Well, depends on who you ask.
Well, I'm asking you, mate. I'm asking you.
All right. Heard of a little book called the Bible?
Heard.
Old book, lots of genres, couple thousand years old.
You're kidding me, man. Yes, we know about the Bible. Please,
pardon my obtuseness.
Your sins are forgiven. So, the Bible.
Right. That's the Bible. So that's where all this first gets cooking. Apocalypse, eschaton, all of this.
I'm remembering some of this from our talk months ago. Book of Daniel had something to do with it, and there was a book with the fate of every person who ever lived, and something about theology and reality.
Precisely. Daniel is huge. First work of apocalyptic literature ever to be had. This one sets off the genre for about 200 years. People writing about heavenly secrets being revealed and earthly kingdoms coming to an end, right?
So why the apocalyptic lit? Did they think it was all coming apart or something?
It really did seem that way to some groups that were getting the short end of the stick.
How do you mean?
Just getting bounced back and forth from empire to empire. Babylon, then the Persians, then the Greeks, then the Ptolemaics, then the Seleucids, then the Romans. And the Jewish elite were little help for the Jewish commoners.
What were the Jewish elite up to?
All sorts of naughty stuff. All the rich families had a lot to lose while they were being repeatedly conquered by bigger empires, so they would try to get in good with the leaders of those empires, throwing each other under the bus for different things.
Like what?
There was this one ordeal, now called the Heliodorus Affair. After Alexander the Great swept through the Middle East and into Egypt, all the land from Egypt to India now belonged to the Greeks. When Alexander the Great died, nobody could agree on who would take over. So after a civil war for 20 years, they split the Greek Empire up into a bunch of different military leaders. Each got a piece. Ptolemy got Egypt, which is the land southwest of the Jews, and another guy, Seleucus, gets the land east of the Jews. And Seleucus eventually gets control of Judea, where all the Jews have been living. And the Seleucid leader lets them keep living under their own laws.
Jewish law.
Exactly. So any affluent, important Jewish family has a lot to lose in all this, because at any moment, the leader of whatever empire is running the show could just call off the deal they gave the Jews and say, sorry everybody, but you're under our law now. So they're all trying to get in good with the empire's leaders and make sure they stay on top. So some guy named Simon keeps track of the temple's finances.
Wait, the temple has finances?
I mean, yeah, there are no banks, and so they have to keep their money somewhere. If you're a nobody, you might hide it in your house or bury it somewhere. But the city's got to keep its money somewhere safe. And what's safer than the place where God lives?
What do you mean where God lives?
I mean, the Jews thought the temple was God's house, where he dwells. Everybody thought like that. Everybody had a temple for their own region's god, and every region had their own god or goddess, including the Jews.
So you're telling me that the city's bank and the place where God lives is the same place?
I suppose so.
I don't know, man. It just seems fishy. You'd think you'd want to keep your money situation and your God situation separate, you know?
When you put it like that.
It seems a little telling of where the priorities lie. Like, is the temple important because God lives there? Or is it important because they have to keep the money safe? So they tell people God lives there to keep the money safe.
Bringing up some good points.
I'm just saying, but the money guy, Simon.
Right, Simon. So Simon tells on the high priest, Onias III, saying he's keeping money that's going undeclared in the temple. And normally you have to tell the king how much money you've got at any time, so they know how much to tax you. But Simon says things aren't adding up.
Well, if Simon says.
Right. So Simon says, and the Seleucid king, Seleucus IV, sends his finance guy, named Heliodorus, to take this money from Onias. But Onias says that this money is the savings of widows and orphans. And you can't just come along and take money from widows and orphans. So Heliodorus leaves, and Onias is still freaked out and wants to clear his name. So he sets out to meet the king and make sure they're chill. But it takes him a while to get there. By the time he arrives, Heliodorus has assassinated Seleucus.
What? Why?
I don't know. So Seleucus' brother, Antiochus IV, drives Heliodorus out of the capital and assumes the throne of the Seleucid kingdom.
These names are killing me, man. So, we've got Onias, priest. Simon, narc. Heliodorus, killer. Seleucus, dead. Antiochus, king.
Oh, you just wait. We are just getting started. So the new king, Antiochus, he grew up in Rome and Athens, and this guy loved Greek culture. He started calling himself one of Zeus's nicknames, Epiphanes.
What's Epiphanes?
The manifest god.
Humble guy.
You're telling me. So while Onias was out of town, his brother, Jason, took over as interim high priest. And when Antiochus becomes king, Jason offers Antiochus a bunch of silver to keep the high priesthood.
So you're telling me the high priest's brother just bribed the king to become the new high priest?
Oh yeah, regular protocol. Any high position was regularly sold to the highest bidder back in the day.
That is such a Jason move.
It
So glad nobody's bribing anybody for power anymore.
Oh, absolutely not. So Jason, he bids on the priesthood, says he wants to rename the city of Jerusalem after Antiochus, call it Antioch, and basically turn it into a Greek city. So Jerusalem becomes a Greek city, and the Jewish law is replaced by Greek law.
But I thought all the Jews wanted was to keep their own Jewish law.
Yeah, you'd think so. So all the Jews love the new Greek stuff. The gymnasium, the Greek lifestyle, they eat it up. And it's put in place by their very own people. And then later, Jason, who's now the high priest, sends a guy named Menelaus to make a payment to Antiochus, taxes or bribes or something. And while Menelaus is with Antiochus, he outbids Jason for the high priesthood. And Menelaus then drives Jason out of Jerusalem and sends a hitman to take out Jason's other brother because he's scared that Jason's brothers are going to take the chance to get the high priesthood.
Rough time to be a Jewish priest.
Oh, this ain't nothing. So Menelaus has the high priesthood secured with the emperor, Antiochus. And the Jerusalem temple is then rededicated to Zeus with all the Greek sacred practices. And then Antiochus pulls a really big move. He declares it is now illegal to practice Jewish law. No more sacrifice to the God of Israel, no more worship of the God of Israel. God of Israel canceled. It's only love for Zeus and Jerusalem now. So this starts a civil war between Menelaus and his family and another Jewish family, the Hasmoneans. And they aren't having any of this.
So wait a second. Before, only Jewish law is practiced in Jerusalem and Judea because they have rights to run their own show under the Seleucids. Then some guy, Jason, outbids his brother from the high priesthood, turns Jerusalem into a Greek city to practice Greek law, and then Menelaus outbids Jason and drives out Jason and his family from Jerusalem. And the emperor that Menelaus is in cahoots with makes Jewish law not optional, but banned from the land.
Bingo.
And Onias, Jason, Menelaus, they're all from the same family?
Yep, exactly. The high priest could only be held by someone from a certain family that's supposed to have descended from the very first high priest.
But these new rebels, the hazmat suits.
Hasmoneans. Germs on the brain or something?
Seems that way. So, the Hasmoneans, they're not from the priestly family.
Right. But they're upset at what this priestly family is doing to their land and their people, basically being in on the plan with the empire at the time, and making it harder and harder, and eventually illegal, to be a Jew in Judea. And the Hasmoneans are hardcore. They first go after the priestly family. Then they basically go after any common person, the tradesmen, the farmers, the shepherds, anybody who isn't practicing Jewish law, which is everybody, by the way, still illegal to practice. So the Jewish commoners are stuck between a rock and a hard place of having Greek culture thrust upon them, then having Jewish law outlawed, and then being persecuted by another wealthy Jewish family for then just not practicing the Jewish law. It's just been outlawed.
So what does any of this have to do with apocalyptic literature?
The apocalyptic literature was responding to all this nonsense among the human kingdoms. Every human kingdom is kind of sucked, not taking care of the people of the God of Israel. Whether it's some outside empire conquering Judea or elite families who are trying to keep their power and bend to the ways of the ruling empires, the Jewish commoners keep getting screwed. And a lot of people at the time think that these are signs that something's going to have to break. That these human kingdoms are leading to some new sort of kingdom, different from the rest. A new kingdom, not of human rulers, but a divine ruler. And the divine ruler is going to set everybody straight. And everybody who's done them wrong is going to get what's coming to them. And everybody who's honored the Jewish law is going to get rewarded for staying true.
Who's saying that?
Well, for starters, whoever wrote the book of Daniel's saying that.
What's he saying?
Ask the trunk.
Please. Is there a specific way to do this?
How should I know? I don't know how the trunk of Apocalypse works. I just live there. It's the whole thing. The trunk just reveals the mysteries. It doesn't tell you how the trunk works. That's the best part of the apocalypse. It's all a mystery, baby. Speak to the trunk! Trunk!
Trunk! Trunk of Apocalypse! What's going on with Daniel?
Maybe try a whisper. I heard somewhere that mystery speaks in whispers, or the sound of silence or something.
I think that's a Simon and Garfunkel song.
Mystery is everywhere, baby.
I thought mystery was in the trunk.
I mean, yeah, it's in the trunk. It's everywhere, and it's in the trunk. Try the silence thing.
All right. Hey, trunk. Oh, box of apocalypse. Give me something good.
At that time, Michael, the great leader who guards your people, will take his stand. It will be a difficult time. Nothing like has ever happened since nations first appeared. But at that time, every one of your people who is found written in the scroll will be rescued. Many of those who sleep in the dusty land will wake up, some to eternal life, others to shame and eternal disgrace. Those skilled in wisdom will shine like the sky. Those who lead many to righteousness will shine like the stars forever and always. But you, Daniel, must keep these words secret. Seal the scroll until the end time. Many will stray far, but knowledge will increase.
Trunk must be having a good day. Sometimes it only speaks in Greek or Hebrew or whatever. Let me tell you, when the mysteries are not revealed in English, a mystery is Greek to me. It seems the residents of the trunk have a penchant for bad jokes as well. So, all that Daniel stuff, what's that all mean?
Come on, man. Is that the best question we could ask? What does it mean? How did it move you? What's it telling the deepest parts of you?
I mean, I don't really know what the trunk was talking about. Michael, a scroll, eternal disgrace, and to keep it all a secret? It moved the parts of me that make me feel confused. I'll tell you, it moved me to revolution, baby. It's time these human kingdoms wrap up the show and we get some new power cooking. The humans keep buggering this all up. Empires taxing the little guy, widows and orphans left out on their own, wealthy families scrounging for whatever power that they can hold on to. It sounds like a bunch of BS to me. It sounds to me like it's the end of history. Apocalypse season, the great unveiling. The good guys are going to win in the end. Nothing sweeter than revenge, am I right? I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like revenge is the best way out of all this. If every time it was all hitting the fan and I turned to the revenge box for answers, I just don't think that's a good MO. Why not? We've been silenced, you and me, the commoners. Nobody's looking out for us, especially at a time like now. Systems are failing. I got friends losing their jobs, filing for unemployment. Checks still aren't coming. It's time to revolt, my guy. Yeah, but hospitals full, the economy's stopped, businesses failing. This is it, my friend. It's time for an overthrow. Whoa, I think you're jumping the gun here. I don't think the way out of this is an overthrow. Revolution, baby, that's the whole thing. Set the captives free. American empire is done. Hey, I'm as mad and sad as anybody about all this. I see the numbers. I mean, just this week, this isn't COVID apocalypse, but that video of the poor man on a jog getting shot down, you talk about apocalypses revealing and unveiling what's previously unseen. It's as good a thing as any of making seen what's going on the whole time. It's apocalypse to me. See, you're getting it? Apocalypse season. We're the captain now. God's plan. Kanye. Let's shake things up. Rage against the machine. Oh, God, I get this is a messed up place, but wasn't there something in the same book about love your enemies, love your neighbor, and everybody's your neighbor, heal the impure, the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. At last. The Jesus stuff. Right, the Jesus stuff. Look, pal. Jesus was just getting us ready for the main event. That's the deal with the messiahs. They get things cooking, they get the people ready, and then bam! End of days season. It's all coming down. Rome is cooked, the God of Israel takes the throne. That's the main event. Revelation stuff. Revelation. It's more apocalyptic lit, yeah? Only the greatest work of apocalyptic lit ever, my friend. Last book of the Bible where we really take off. The Beast of Babylon.
Hey, you'll take my fire and thunder, peon.
So sorry, the apocalypse. What a treat we have. The apocalypse himself.
The beast was given a mouth that spoke boastful and blasphemous things, and it was given authority to act for 42 months. It opened its mouth to speak blasphemies against God. It blasphemed God's name and his dwelling place, that is, those who dwell in heaven. All those who live on earth worshipped it, all those whose names hadn't been written in the scroll of life of the Lamb who was slain.
Well, there you have it. The beast is empire. And empire must be stopped with our own empire, with the God of Israel at the top. This doesn't feel right. Empire seems bad. Can you really just replace one empire with another? I feel like what we need is a whole new way. No. It's easy. God's empire good, Rome empire bad. We can't do any better than dualism? The same thing we've been doing forever? You're not getting it. It makes sense because it's God. Give me some more apocalypse, Trunk. Show us the fire. Show us how it's gonna be. Sound of silence, remember? Give us the good stuff, Trunk. Show us what's coming.
The seventh angel blew his trumpet, and there were loud voices in heaven saying, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and his Christ, and he will rule forever and always." Then the 24 elders who were seated in their thrones before God fell on their faces and worshiped God. They said, "We give thanks to you, Lord God Almighty, who is and was, for you have taken your great power and enforced your rule. The nations were enraged, but your wrath came. The time came for the dead to be judged. The time came to reward your servants, prophets and saints, and those who fear your name, both small and great, and to destroy those who destroy the earth."
There it is, peon. God on top with his boys, running the show. 24 elders, that sounds like something. Roman emperors had courts of 24, and God's court looks exactly the same as Rome's? What's the deal? All this just sounds like taking the old tools of empire, slapping God's name on it. Are you kidding me, man? It's different because it's God. God's doing it. It's better because it's God. Emperor! God! How'd all that go? All that written after Jesus? They thought Earth was going up in smoke real fast. Everybody just getting ready for all this stuff you're talking about. How'd that go? Emperor! Emperor! God! Come out! Burn these heathens! Show them what's coming! I don't think what you're looking for is in there. The whole end is near thing, it's not a good look. You don't know what you're talking about. They promised. It's coming. It's all falling apart here. You said it yourself. This is it. We're getting zapped. All these Jesus people, whoever wrote what that box was saying, Paul, all the rest of them, they thought it was ending too, 2,000 years ago. And I'm not seeing this great end of human empire. We just keep doing it again with different names. The Romans, the Ottomans, Genghis Khan, the Spanish, the British, the French, the Americans. New name, same flavor. Apocalypse keeps coming. Things keep not making sense. You're telling me I moved into this trunk so the Rona ain't getting me. Right. I don't think the best apocalypse can do is another empire that looks like all the rest. Smiting, murder, fire, these aren't love moves. I mean, what ended up happening to the Christians? What do you mean, what happened to them? They were persecuted, heads on spikes! I mean, yeah, for a little while, but Rome takes their story, right? They take it and they turn it into the official Roman religion. How else could they do that if the whole endgame didn't just look the same as their own way to use power? What are you saying? Rome was killing it. Constantine, then he finds the Christians and their big plan for the endgame, all the apocalypse trunk stuff. Their whole power use looks the same as Roman power use. It's like the Christians are mimicking Romans so much that in their telling that the mimic and the mimics just become one. Christians become empire. Is this the best we could come up with? Is this love your enemies? I mean, their main guy, Jesus, he dies. They call him God and he dies. Right? That's nonviolence. It's no imperial nonsense.
Blasphemy! God! Emperor! God!
I'm not coming out. I'm waiting
For what?
to be saved. Apocalypse comes, we're all out of here.
I'm not sure that's how all this is going to work.
World war, Australia on fire, pandemic, Trump impeached, no toilet paper, online school, UFOs. You tell me what it means.
I thought apocalypse wasn't about what it means, but how it moves you.
Well, it moved me into this trunk.
That's the best we're moved? From radical love? From a God who dies and suffers?
I swear to God, dude, if God can't find me in this box and set me free, I'm not having it. God! Emperor! God! God! Emperor! God! God! Emperor! Emperor! God! Emperor!
My husband is on unemployment for the first time in our life. And it's unwillingly that we're taking
We
unemployment.
don't believe the governor's order is legal because both the federal constitution
her life
and the state
and
constitution
her
It's the
protect
basis
our
of
right
my
to
life.
free exercise.
morals and values.
Fire stays don't fear. I don't have fear. I have faith.
Murder hornets.
No, I won't go regardless because Jesus says
I don't think that the risk presents any higher than me going to a grocery store.
We have nothing to fear but fear itself.
One of the men charged with Ahmaud Arbery's murder.
Carrying so nearly $3 million. Massive fines. A young man is
But that does not mean that a crime has been committed.
The attorneys declined to discuss specifics of the report.
If you trust the Lord, people in the Bible didn't been here.